righty, welcome everybody to this special episode of Brownsville Tech Live. And in the house, we've got Doug Blunt. Not only is he the guru of gurus for Apple for the RGV, but he's had a storied career in the industry, both working for Boeing and Northrop Grumman. And tonight, our special episode is the unveiling of the B21 Raider. That is the new stealth bomber that will replace the B-2 stealth bomber, which was introduced over 20 plus years ago. So, Doug, welcome back. I know this was kind of short notice. I kind of lost sight of this. So I'm glad you reached out to me today. And so tell us a little bit about what's going to happen here in about 17 minutes.
Well, as we go back in time and back on November 22nd, 1988, we were on site. We were working at the Plant 42 in Palmdale, California on the B-2 bomber.
Yeah.
And we witnessed the rollout of the bomber. We was on the tarmac there that day.
Yeah.
Okay. And we had just moved to land.
Go ahead.
Yeah. And so it looks like to me they're probably going to follow the same sequence as they did back in 1988.
Yeah.
Okay. The B21 will be in front of the engine run dock, what we call the engine run dock, I'm pretty sure. And they'll have all the dignitaries there, probably Secretary of the Air Force, and probably the Secretary of Defense, and a few senators and stuff.
Yeah.
And the Air Force will have all their people there. Just like they did back in '88, and they'll roll her out, and then they'll go through the ceremony.
Well, we've got
like they're a little behind.
Go ahead.
Little behind time right now. It was supposed to be at 4:30 Pacific time, and so it's just like it was back in '88. We waited about an hour before it to roll it out.
Wow. Well, I know that you've had a storied history with this program, and I know you provided me a few pictures. So talk to us about this picture here.
Okay, we started on the program in 1987 down in Pico Rivera. That's a suburb. It's next to Whittier. Northrop had bought an old Ford plant and turned into a secret facility.
Okay.
And I think there might have been some politics involved because it was a Hispanic, territory. Yeah. And, they're like any aerospace firm, they like to get as many votes as they can. So they spent, I don't know how many millions of dollars to do that. We were there for about a year doing all and then what we did, if you want to show that one picture, I'll show you what we did in Pico Rivera.
Yeah. So are you in this picture, Doug?
If you see a bunch of air,
I'm sorry. I didn't have the picture.
Okay, that's the Palmdale picture. That would be the next picture.
Okay, are you in this picture somewhere?
Yes, I am.
Where are you at? Let me guess.
Yeah,
over here. No.
Okay.
Is that you?
That was our department. We were we called surface prep.
Yeah.
Basically, it was low observable technology. Okay, we were tasked with the painting and laying all the low observable material on the plane. We were manufacturing engineering.
Wow.
Okay, and I'm in the back. Okay. The gentleman in the white T-shirt in the center.
Yeah, I see him.
His name is Dennis Ayers.
Yeah,
he was my boss. Great boss, great guy. And he lives in Lake Charles, Louisiana now. And I contact him on Facebook all the time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there you are. I see you. You're right there in back of him, right?
Right. Yep. I'm right there. Yeah. Back there.
You are.
The gentleman on the left with his hands crossed, that's Bob Knapp. I actually hooked up with him last Sunday and on Facebook, and he's just retired from Northrop. He had 38 years in.
Wow.
And he finally retired. Great engineer.
Yeah.
Bob was a fantastic engineer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
No nonsense type of guy. And then the gentleman on the right, Dwayne Clark, okay. Great guy. I wish I could find him, and there's some other people on there. Kathy Russell's the redhead, um, in the middle, woman in the middle, and then Sue Sparks, Janet Nelson, on down the line, But
Yeah.
that was taken out on the tarmac in Palmdale, and I'd say it was like 1995 or so,
Oh, wow.
1994. That's when Northrop decided to, line all the employees up by department and take a group photo in front of the plane.
That is cool. You
Okay.
know,
Yeah.
if it was 1994 or 95, I was barely graduating from college that time period. But let's see here. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and look at some more pictures that you provided. So you showed us this
Okay.
picture. So what's this picture?
Which I'm
Oh,
waiting
I'm
for the picture to
sorry.
show up here.
I'm sorry. I got to flip.
Okay, that's inside. That is inside in Plant 42.
Uh-huh.
Okay, this is where they built the B2, and I don't know this for sure, but I'm pretty darn positive that they're building a B29 or B21 inside the same hangar.
Yeah.
So that was a million square, brand new facility. We called it Building 401.
Uh-huh.
Okay, huge building. It was air conditioning because of the composites and stuff,
Uh-huh.
and it was a huge building. And my desk, where my department, where Dennis and apartment hangar, we were Elias and down on the floor, and we were right underneath those couple guys at the bottom of the picture.
Right.
That would be just about where our desks were, because when they
Wow.
moved the airplane, see, it was an assembly line, and each station had different phases of the production.
Yeah.
Okay, so this looks like this used to be station 1600. That's where they put the wings together,
Uh-huh.
because Boeing supplied the wings.
Uh-huh.
Okay, the midsection, what they call the front fuselage or the front crew station and stuff, came from Pico Rivera, and then Chance Bald up in Dallas supplied the rear end of the program. So they all flew those things in, okay, from Seattle and from Dallas, and then we joined them together.
They've actually started the video. We're going to flip to the video real quick.
Oh, they started. Well, let's show that then. Okay.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing how all these companies now copy the Apple motto of having these announcements and podcasts?
Well, we did it in '88 because we were looking for funding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because so, and there was a lot of secrecy involved. Everybody had a secret clearance. Some people had top secret clearance. You had to walk through a couple set of gates.
We'll lower the volume a little bit so we can talk.
Yeah, and so, we sat there. I remember my good friend Gene Friegel, who was in that picture a while ago. He always called it Seabiscuit because it was always the last one to get out of the gate. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Good old Seabiscuit.
Take your seats. The program will begin in 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Oh, 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Well, they're right on.
Yeah. So, at what point did the plant become other words, at what point did the plant go from being top secret to being a known plant, or was it always top secret?
It's always been secret. It's always been secret. This program too is secret too.
Yeah.
There's nothing. You're not gonna see inside the plant.
Yeah.
Okay. Those pictures I showed you, I got those off a website a few years ago.
Yeah.
You know, and so they're common knowledge. But I don't know what happened. I left in '97, and because the last airplane was literally over my desk, and I knew that it was they had to cut back, and so I went on to program in Wichita with another company, and I don't know what happened. The only I know that it got pretty hairy around there. I think there were some layoffs in 99, 98, 99. But Northrop's always been a good company to work for. That's a non-union shop, but when they lay people off, if you've been a good employee, they call you back.
Right.
So on my understanding, a lot of the guys came back.
Wow.
And some of them went on to other programs. I know Dennis, my boss, he went on to Lake Charles in Louisiana, and they had a modification program down there. He's retired now. And him and his wife Ingrid, they both went down there. So there was a lot of husband and wife teams that worked on the B2.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
Yeah.
Because you had to have a secret clearance, and it was easier to clear both people than it is to hire people individually.
Yeah.
So Northrop recruited. I lived in. At the time I was working in St. Louis at McDonnell Douglas, the old McDonnell Douglas.
Right.
And on a whim, I went out to the airport for a job fair and got interviewed by a guy named Bud Ingersoll that was a Northrop manager. He hired me, and then this was like in November. This is October, November, and we started in January of '87.
Yeah.
They moved us out there. They treated us like royalty. There was a couple of house hunting trips and just all kinds of good stuff.
Yeah.
Good company to work for.
Yeah, I had a lot of friends whose parents worked in the aerospace industry down in Houston. They worked over there at the Johnson Space Center, working on the space station stuff. So I would hear from time to time, the aerospace industry, cutting back, especially, on the space station. It went through so many reiterations. Go ahead.
Yeah, Dennis always had a saying. He said, aerospace is like a trash can. Okay, whoever's on top of this program is going to be on the bottom of the next.
Yeah.
Or whoever's on the bottom of the last program is going to be top on the next program.
Yeah, I remember, when I was applying, my senior year of college, I was already applying at different places, and one of the places that I applied for was IBM Federal, which was working with NASA for the space station, and regular IBM. And just my luck, I ended up on the regular IBM side, and I was there for about 2 years until they cut back heavily. They sold the PC division, and all kinds of stuff happened with Big Blue at the time. So my dreams of staying with IBM kind of went south, so to speak. And I came south, by the way, after that.
Yeah.
So, but it's definitely a tough industry. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Anybody that's interested in aerospace, who watches this podcast, I highly recommend Northrop. Yeah. Northrop was very, very, very good to us. Okay. Yeah. And one of my life regrets was that I left Northrop. Maybe I should have stayed around a little longer.
Yeah.
But you never know.
Well, for me, if the times had been different, I probably would have stayed with IBM, but things didn't work out, My dream was to go work for Microsoft at the time, because Microsoft was big, but I didn't get that opportunity. I ended up working for Big Blue instead, and that was fine, but as you know, IBM doesn't even manufacture computers anymore.
Yeah, who would ever thought that we'd end up in South Texas,
Ladies
you
and
know?
gentlemen,
I know,
please take
tell
your
me about
seats.
it.
The program will begin in 5 minutes.
Oh man.
Working for our old company. They're talking about a downgrade.
Yeah, it was somewhat, but you know, I had family down here and other things, but still, yeah, you're right. You know, there are
Yeah,
differences, no doubt
sad
about
state
that.
of affairs.
You know.
You got to go where the jobs are at, you know.
Yeah, yep, that's true. You know, maybe they'll move Twitter down here eventually.
They just might. They just might.
Yeah, if he keeps on getting flack from those San Franciscans, he may move them down to Texas. You know.
I don't think he'll have any problems down here. It's a private company, so he can do what. Now it's a private company, so he can do whatever heck he wants to do with it.
I know.
You know, but you know, I'd like to get back in aerospace. You know, my dream would always be. I always wanted to work around space, especially on the space station. You know.
Yeah.
You know, just when I was about ready, I was working at McDonnell Douglas, and then then not Discovery, but was it Columbia?
Yeah.
Blew up. Yeah. And I go, oh, nothing going to happen for the next 2 or 3 years. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well,
Until they get the investigation over.
I remember when I was applying for IBM, and I really wanted IBM. I really wanted to work for IBM Federal because it was like 15 minutes from my house. I didn't want to work for the other side of IBM, which was about an hour away. Well, I ended up getting the job with the one for an hour away, so I used to commute every day an hour away from where I lived to go to work. It was crazy, you know. But I remember an old lady telling me that her husband worked for IBM Federal. She said, "Oh man," she said, "you know, IBM has a policy ever since Watson was CEO where they had a no layoff policy. You're set. You're good to go." My husband's worked for them for like 30 plus years. I said, "Oh, okay." You know, and then it quite didn't work out that way.
Didn't quite work that way. I remember that November 22nd, now it's coming back to me, is that we had just bought a house in Lancaster.
Yeah.
Okay. And we were about ready on that date, and we took possession of that house. We were a very busy day because we had to work in Palmdale there for the rollout, and then we got the keys to the house.
Yeah.
You know, we were all staying in a hotel. I think it was the Lancaster Inn.
Yeah.
The Lancaster Inn, you know, and we stayed in there for like 2 or 3 weeks, and you know, we bought a house there on Elm Street, and God, that house worth now. I think I looked it up the other day, and they sold it for $400,000 or something.
Now, who had the F-16 program down at Fort Worth at one time? Who was the company that had that?
Yeah.
Do you know who that company was?
That was General Dynamics.
Oh, that's right, General Dynamics.
Yeah.
Yeah, a few years
Plant
ago.
42 was Plant 42 with the Palmdale area, pretty significant because at one time the Skunk Works for Lockheed was there on one side of the plant, and then Rockwell, the old Rockwell place, they made the B1, and then they also made the shuttle there.
Wow.
Okay, and then McDonnell Douglas made a trainer there, which Cheney canceled later on, and then of course they made the B2, and I believe I ran into a guy at the football game a few years ago that I used to work with on the B2. And he basically told me that, you know, when the drones came in, that's when they started making drones there. So I don't know if that's true or not, but then they started making the B21. So, you know, they're making 6 B21s, just like we did on the B2. They're going to go through different types of testing. And they're going to be flowing out I'm sure they're going to be flowing out to Edwards Air Force Base one at a time.
Yeah.
And they'll go through a series of testing up there. Each test they've got, you know, fatigue test and just all kinds of testing.
Yeah.
And eventually they'll break 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Eventually they'll break 1 and 2 for stress and stuff.
There's Diva. There's Diva. She's commenting.
There's Diva. There's Diva. What is she saying? The new bomber. Yeah. You know, Danny, I've been trying to get back on with Northrop. You know, I've got like 15 or 16 submissions to him, you know, in Palmdale, and to pick up the jobs I actually used to have there.
Yeah.
And I get rejected, you know. I got like 17 under consideration, you know, and there was a couple jobs I applied for. There it is right there.
Yeah.
Okay, it's Suncat. It's darn near dark out there. Now we did ours in the afternoon. It was early afternoon.
Yeah, it's dark now. Look at that.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Okay, so I think that is. Okay, we're doing the national anthem now.
Please rise and remove your hats for the singing of our national anthem by the Northrop Grumman employee, Johan Riley. Johan sang the national anthem at the celebratory event when Northrop Grumman was awarded the B21 contract, and he's been a member of the B21 team ever since.
Can you see by the dawn's
Look at the B-52.
What's so proudly we've held
Yeah.
at the twilight's
That is amazing. That bomber's still flying after so many years.
Made in Wichita, Kansas.
They say that it's going to continue to fly way into the 2050s and 60s, which is surprising. We'll be dead, but that thing's still going to be flying still.
You know, that bomber's known for, if you ever see the movie Dr. Strangelove, okay, Dr. Strangelove, there's a scene in there where Slim Pickens is riding he's a pilot, and he kicks the hydrogen bomb, and he's riding the hydrogen bomb with a cowboy hat, bombing Russia.
That's the B1.
It's a B1. There it is.
There it is.
A little chilly there in Palmdale.
Raider ushers in a new era.
Let's turn up the volume.
A bomber like no other. With stealth, advanced weapon systems, and an open systems architecture built into every element. This first ever 6th generation aircraft pushes the limits of what's possible, showcasing the dedication and skills of thousands of people working to build a more secure future. This changes everything.
The last scene was Edwards Air Force Base.
Please welcome Kathy Warden, Chair, Chief Executive Officer, and President of Northrop Grumman.
She was on CNBC
evening.
earlier today.
What a wonderful way to begin an incredible and historic evening. Our national anthem with the percussion of true air power overhead. I want to thank Global Strike Command for that amazing flyover. The bomber fleet has been a cornerstone of this nation's air power, and tonight we roll out the next generation of capability. It's my honor to welcome all of you as we prepare to unveil the most capable stealth bomber ever built. This next generation aircraft defines what this nation is capable of when we work together. We are opening a new era in technology for national defense. Digitally designed, enabled, and maintained, the B-21 Raider represents a view into the future and brings it to the here and now. Thank you to Secretary Austin, Admiral Grady, Secretary Kendall, General Brown, senators and members of Congress, and elected leaders from all levels of government, all of you, for joining us tonight. Each of you is important to this program and to Northrop Grumman. I want to take a moment to recognize those who have designed and built this amazing aircraft. Our Northrop Grumman employees, our suppliers, and our U.S. Air Force partners. So please join me in a round of applause for our team. Some of them are standing behind you tonight. The team standing behind you proved once again that we can lead the world in innovation and deliver to our military the technology needed to execute their mission and return home safely. We are a team inspired by a direct connection to our national security mission. That's why our industry and Air Force B-21 team pushed through the challenges of the pandemic and worked tirelessly to deliver this platform. The B-21 Raider represents this team's innovation, skill, and commitment to get the job done. Because that's what we do. We deliver and develop technology that advances engineering and science, defining what's possible for tomorrow, but bringing it to life today. The B-21 Raider changes everything. Reaffirming peace through deterrence, advancing technology, and ushering in a new paradigm in aircraft design, development, and manufacturing. With this aircraft, we're delivering the next generation of stealth technology designed for the U.S. Air Force to meet its most complex missions. With the B-21, the United States Air Force will deter and defeat threats anywhere in the world. And as the environment changes, rapid technology insertions will keep the B-21 ready to outpace those threats. I am particularly proud of our customer and industry collaboration on this aircraft. It's representing a new acquisition model, underpinned by transparency and trust, accelerated through digital tools and teaming, and strengthened by our 400 suppliers across 40 states. As the most advanced stealth aircraft, it will be the backbone of U.S. air power. The world has never seen technology like the B-21. So now, I'm thrilled that the time has come for you and the world to see the B-21 Raider.
There you go. I guess they decided to do it at night for a more dramatic effect.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, our nation's B21 Raider.
Very similar to a B2, but the silhouette's a little bit different.
Please welcome Vice Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, United States Navy Admiral Christopher Grady.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It is an incredible honor to be with you tonight as the world's greatest bomber force takes the next bold steps into the future. What was once a nascent force with munitions thrown by hand from an open cockpit in World War I to a 1,500 aircraft armada launched for a single raid in World War II, America's bomber fleet is the globe's premier airborne extended deterrent. Distinguished by a legacy of innovation that has given us stealth technology, precision strike and standoff weapons, and operational agility necessary for anything that the Joint Force requires, our Air Force's bomber fleet will continue to provide airborne and air power supremacy with the B-21 Raider as the backbone of the fleet. Our long-range bombers provide the United States and our allies with effects at range and at lethality unmatched anywhere, including their ability to penetrate and to manipulate the battlefield to our advantage, their ability to remain unseen, and their ability to integrate with our allies and partners and to deliver on our commitment to provide flexible deterrent and strike options. And of course, our ability to provide airborne deterrence is made possible by the silent professionals, the airmen of the Joint Force who operate and maintain this fleet. And along with our essential partners in the industrial base, we are finding opportunities for collaboration and innovation every step of the way. These dedicated men and women, in uniform or not, stand watch on freedom's frontier during these pivotal, challenging times. The credibility of our joint force depends on our ability to operate at the time and place of our choosing, to field long-range sensors and weapons, and to achieve effects in the most contested environments. The B-21 unveiled here is part of this credible joint force that will uphold the rules-based international order for the United States and all of our allies and partners for future generations. It will operate in tomorrow's high-end threat environment, and it will enable America to outmaneuver, to outpace, and to outmatch our adversaries. It will deter aggression, and if called upon, the B-21 and the men and women who fly her will be resolute, ready, and lethal on arrival to prevail in conflict. And so the B-21 Raider, in concert with the Joint Forces concepts, will be poised to deliver and deter our adversaries and ensure America's decisive edge. And now, it is my honor to introduce our Secretary of Defense. He is a man of immense wisdom and incredible character, and he leads with honor, integrity, and compassion. We are fortunate to have him at the helm during this critical time in our world's history, and his leadership has been and will be pivotal as this nation, our allies and partners, and the world address complex and persistent security challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, the 28th Secretary of Defense, the Honorable Lloyd Austin III.
There's a big event down at the Reagan Library today, this weekend.
Oh, really?
And all those dignitaries are out there, including him.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's great to be here on this proud day for the United States Air Force and for our country. Thanks, Admiral Grady, for that kind introduction, and thanks for your leadership of our joint force. And Kathy, congratulations to the whole team at Northrop Grumman for getting this big job done. And
yeah, the Reagan Library is up down in the Simi Valley. It's about an hour and a half away.
Let me also thank the members of Congress from both sides of the aisle for joining us and for supporting the investments that make the United States the best fighting force in the world. I also want to take a moment to honor former Secretary of Defense Ash Carter, who we lost far too soon. Now, Secretary Carter knew that the complex security threats of our changing world demanded new thinking and new capabilities. So he helped start development on this new bomber. And we're grateful for his leadership and his legacy. And I want to recognize everyone who worked on this aircraft for the past 7 years. Despite the long hours, despite the pandemic, day after day, you showed up with determination and drive. So let's give the entire workforce a round of applause.
A lot of young faces out there, Danny.
On the way in, I noticed that there were
yeah.
some pretty good
Quite a
airmen
bit.
in the crowd tonight, too. It's great to see you all. Now, this Air Force bomber has been in development for 7 years, but its roots go back much further than that. 80 years ago, on a cold and rainy April morning, 4 months after Pearl Harbor, 16 U.S. Army bomber planes took off from an aircraft carrier in the Pacific. And then Lieutenant Colonel Jimmy Doolittle embarked on a daring mission. At high cost, he and his team of aviators flew more than 650 miles to strike distant enemy targets. And the Doolittle Raiders, as they came to be known, showed the strength and the reach of American air power. You know, we have many family members of those brave pilots and crew members here with us today. So thank you all for joining us, and let's give them a round of applause. The audacity
the
of the
last one
Doolittle
finally
Raiders
died.
has inspired generations of American aviators. And it's fitting that the next chapter in American air power is named in their honor. The B-21 Raider is the first strategic bomber in more than 3 decades. It is a testament to America's enduring advantages in ingenuity and innovation. And it's proof of the department's long-term commitment to building advanced capabilities that will fortify America's ability to deter aggression today and into the future. Now, strengthening and sustaining U.S. deterrence is at the heart of our national defense strategy. And so is our uniquely American spirit of innovation and invention. And if you want to see that strategy in action, if you want to see America's enduring advantages in action, if you want to see integrated deterrence in action, well, just look at this aircraft. You know, the B-21 looks imposing. But what's under the frame and the space-age coatings is even more impressive. Let's talk about the B-21's range. No other long-range bomber can match its efficiency. It won't need to be based in theater. It won't need logistical support to hold any target at risk. Let's talk about the B-21 stealth. 50 years of advances in low observable technology have gone into this aircraft. And even the most sophisticated air defense systems will struggle to detect the B-21 in the sky. Let's talk about the B-21's durability. You know, we really don't have a capability unless we can maintain it. And the B-21 is carefully designed to be the most maintainable bomber ever built. And let's talk about what the B-21 can deliver. The Raider is designed to deliver both conventional and nuclear munitions with formidable precision. So like generations of bombers before it, the B-21 will be able to support joint and coalition forces across the full spectrum of operations. And the Raider was built with an open system architecture, which makes it highly adaptable. So as the United States continues to innovate, this bomber will be able to defend our country with new weapons that haven't even been invented yet. And the B-21 is multifunctional. It can handle anything from gathering intel to battle management to integrating with our allies and partners. And it will work seamlessly across domains and theaters and across the joint force. And so that makes it vital to our mission to defend America and to deter aggression. And the B-21's edge will last for decades to come. America's defense will always be rooted in deterring conflict. So we are again making it plain to any potential foe. The risk and the cost of aggression far outweigh any conceivable gains. Now, we could spend all night marveling at this tremendous aircraft. But I want everyone to know and understand how it came together. The B-21 is a result of deep teamwork at this plant. Our Air Force pilots, maintainers, and DoD civilians have worked shoulder to shoulder with their industry counterparts. In fact, they've been on the production line here at Palmdale to assist. So the B-21 is a testament to the best of America's vibrant and diverse industrial base. You know, it's this sort of advance that makes us great, and this sort of advance doesn't just happen. It takes investment, it takes cooperation, and it takes partnership. The department is going to continue to invest in tech. We're going to bring new companies into our supplier base, and we're going to keep honing our acquisitions process to get the right capabilities before we need them. That's not always easy, but it's always vital. This bomber was built on a foundation of strong bipartisan support in Congress. And because of that support, we will soon fly this aircraft, test it, and then move it into production. And we will build the bomber force in numbers suited to the strategic environment ahead. And finally, this aircraft was possible because of American innovation. Now, that's something deep in the American spirit. We're driven to keep pushing the limits. We're powered by the boldness of open minds and the confidence of an open society. And that's a strategic advantage that no competitor can match. Ladies and gentlemen, this is deterrence the American way. It's driven by some of America's great strengths, by the openness of our democracy, by partnerships with free enterprise that can deliver unmatched innovation, and by the outstanding men and women in uniform who freely dedicate their lives to keeping our country safe. You know, back in 1985, at a ceremony at the White House, President Reagan pinned a 4th star on General Doolittle's uniform. The president recalled the bravery of the Doolittle Raiders. And he said that at a time of great challenge, they had, quote, revitalized America's fighting spirit. And just a few years after that ceremony, the United States unveiled the B-2 Spirit right here at this site. And the B-2 reminded the world of what American innovation and air power could do. And today, we continue that evolution in our deterrence with the first bomber of the 21st century. This isn't just another airplane. It's not just another acquisition. It is a symbol and a source of the fighting spirit that President Reagan spoke of. It's the embodiment of America's determination to defend the republic that we all love. And it's a testament to our strategy of deterrence with the capabilities to back it up. Every time and everywhere. That's what America does. And here at Palmdale, you have done it once again. So thanks, everyone, and may God continue to bless the United States of America.
Please welcome back to the stage, Kathy Warden.
Thank you, Secretary Austin. We appreciate your service, your leadership, and your vision. And thank you so much for those incredibly powerful words. On behalf of the entire Northrop Grumman team and our Air Force and industry partners, thank you all for joining us tonight. We look forward to the next steps in this program as we move into robust ground testing and toward first flight. Before we end our time together, I'd like to ask everyone to please stand, turn around, and join me in another round of applause for the outstanding B21 team. This rollout signifies great progress, and we won't rest until we deliver these awesome aircraft to the United States Air Force. The next time you see this plane, it'll be in the air. Now, let's put this plane to bed.
Similar to a B-2, I know at the time when we did the B-2, there was nothing else like it, you know.
Right.
I mean, back in the late 40s, there was a YB-49 flying wing, but it was nothing like the B-2.
That is correct. In fact, didn't they invite was it Lockheed or who was it that developed that plane?
Northrop developed that one too, the YB-49.
Okay. Yeah, I think the CEO at the time at Northrop was called back to that revealing.
Yeah, Jack Northrop was still around at that time.
Yeah.
They built, I don't know, 8 or 10 of them, and then, you know, the war ended, and that was the end of that.
They were propeller driven, right?
The originals were, and then they went to a jet. As a matter of fact, Edwards Air Force Base is named after a captain that crashed a flying wing jet version.
Did he die?
There's still pieces out there.
Thank you to everyone for sharing in this historic event.
His name was Glenn Edwards. I think it used to be called Lake Murrock.
Please remain seated while the official delegation departs.
All
righty. It brings back memories, Dan.
Yeah, I bet it does, Doug.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah,
there's
it
a
brings
couple
back
of
a lot of memories.
pictures. There's still a picture left here that we didn't show. Let me go ahead and pull that up here for a second. Let's see here. One more picture that you provided. What are we looking at here?
Okay, that was in, yeah, this is Pico Rivera. This is inside. This is where they made the, we made the forward center section. We made,
Oh, wow.
About, you know, where the crew station's at.
Yeah.
Okay, and like I said earlier, Boeing made the wings and Chance Vaught made the aft center section. And they literally, when they made that, they put them inside an ice cream truck when they went to Palmdale from Pico Rivera, because it's about an hour and a half from Pico Rivera up to Palmdale, and that's how they disguised it was an ice cream truck. And I always remember to this day is back in 87, late 87. Okay. I was scheduled to get a vasectomy. And they needed in aerospace, work instructions are called a plan.
Right.
And they needed somebody to write a plan how to put that airplane into an ice cream truck. and so they said, "Hey, Doug, can you do it?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, so I did it on the thing called the LPRO, which was a piece of paper. And basically, you know, I did that, put my planning stamp on it. And I was supposed to be at the doctor's office like at 4:30, and this was like 4 o'clock, and we had to go way across Los Angeles in order to get to the doctor. And I remember this day, boy, she said, hurry up, we're going to be late. We're going to, because she worked right next to me. She worked over in Pico Rivera too, see, and she come over there and she was mad. She said, "Come on, let's go. You got to get going." And so everybody was around my desk, and I was just writing as fast as I could, you know, and they said, "Okay, I'm done." They said, "Okay." And they took it down. They took it down to the floor down there. They used to call that place the MDC, Manufacturing Development Center.
Yeah.
And that's where they did the forward center section. Now that place, I understand, is a Home Depot.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah, I think they tore it down and they built a Home Depot and they built something else in that site.
Wow. That's incredible.
And I always remember the day that it was a Saturday morning. I was working, and Ted Kennedy come through there with his entourage.
Yeah.
And he was in a golf cart, and this was on a Saturday morning. Okay, so things are kind of loose on Saturday mornings, like most jobs, right? And Ted Kennedy come in through his golf cart, and we went, and everybody else in the entourage had suits and ties on and stuff. And Ted Kennedy, his hair was he looked like he'd been on an all-night drunk at one of those Hollywood parties, and his hair was all messed up, and his shirt tail was out. He had a jacket on, but you know, his shirt tail was out and his chest was unbuttoned, and he hadn't shaved or anything. He looked like a bum.
Wow.
Okay. And he was looking at that. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Ted Kennedy.
Wow.
Yeah. I always remember that. Yeah. Everybody else had suits, and Northrop had suits and ties. Back then we wore shirts and ties.
Right.
Okay. Everybody wore a white shirt and a tie.
Yeah.
And had the little cup, you know, had the little pencil, had the little pen holder on
Well, I never got to use a pen holder. I mean, but at IBM it was shirt and tie, suit, and it had to be it better be a conservative tie.
Yeah. Ted Kennedy comes in. He looked like he'd been on all night drunk. Like he picked up one of those Hollywood starlets out there, and they just got him out of bed. And man, he was a mess. He was kind of hung over too, you know.
He probably was.
And
he was a party.
He probably was. You know how Ted Kennedy was, party animal, right?
But you know what? We need guys like that back in Congress again. It would do him a lot of good. Oh man. All righty, Doug.
Yeah, we were making.
Well, it was great.
Okay, Danny.
It was great having this episode. I actually was trying to take a little bit of a break from podcasting this week after Monday's Cyber Monday deal. I had three shows in one day, so that was kind of tough. But I'm glad we had it.
Yeah,
I'm glad we had it, and hopefully we'll be back next week with some new stuff coming on. I don't know when Apple's going to release anything this month, if any. I don't know. Have you heard anything?
Oh, they got other problems. They got airdrop problems in China right now.
Oh, yeah, I know.
You heard about that, right?
Yeah.
And Fox is making a big deal because that one reporter kept on asking Tim Apple a bunch of questions, and he wouldn't give her the time of day.
Yeah. Yeah, and Tim Apple and Elon got into it this week. They settled their differences.
Oh, they kissed and made up.
I'm sure they did.
But probably after talking to Jim Jordan for an hour, I don't think Tim Apple had much to say.
Wow.
Because you know how Jim Jordan can be.
Oh, I know. He could be our next speaker. Doesn't look good for McCarthy right now. It doesn't look good for McCarthy.
There'll be a run for blue dress shirts with yellow polka dot ties.
Right.
The old power ties they used to back.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Danny.
Well,
thanks. Okay.
Thanks everybody
Bye-bye,
for
everybody.
watching, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye, Doug.
Bye-bye, Dan.